Hello folks, meteorologist Jamie Kagol here with meteorologist Dery with our, what we so affectionately like to call weather minds or whatever.
Weather minds or whatever. It's a 15-minute segment where we get to talk about all things weather, current, past, and what we expect to prognosticate in the future. Yeah. And it's turning into a pretty nice morning.
Not bad at all. Boy, when you get those dew points to drop like they did today, most of us this morning were starting out upper 50s, low 60 dew points. I-90 corridor was still kind of mid and upper 60s.
A little more muggy, but
a little stuffiness there.
Compared to where it's been so far this month, it's a noticeable drop. When you walk outside, it doesn't feel like you're going into like a different density. Coming from like air conditioning into, that just the soupy air. We're going to take a backseat from that. That'll be short-lived, but a noticeable drop in dew point over the next couple of days, and I think today and tomorrow are shaping up to be pretty decent days.
Yeah, dew points will start to climb, but a low in the mid-60s is not horrible.
Yeah, especially this time of year. It's tough to get dew points in like the 40s and 50s. Especially with things greening up, especially we're just north of the Corn Belt where all the corn that releases moisture into the air as well. So we're going to start to tap into that, and that'll lead to warm nights as well. Let's talk about what we had to deal with yesterday. It was kind of a cooler, cloudier day, and we did see some buckets of rain for very localized areas. You're looking at yesterday's precip, and a couple of spots stick out. First off, earlier in the morning yesterday, about more than 24 hours ago, we had some heavy rain near Lake Mille Lacs. I believe parts of Mille Lacs County near Onamia was under a flood warning, flash flood warning for a short time. That expired pretty quickly. And then yesterday evening, we had some heavy rain across far southern Minnesota. That's the other bullseye you see there. Freeburn, Mower County, radar estimates between like 3 and 6 inches of rain. There was reports of flooding. I know I-90, at least earlier this morning, was still shut down in Austin. Communities like Adams, they've got flooded fields, and they just saw way too much rain, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's really feast or famine on that map there. I saw rainfall totals just over 3 inches up around, like I said, Onamia, the southern end of Lake Mille Lacs. There were some pockets, 2.5 as you get out into Pope County, get out closer to Alexandria there, and then northeastern South Dakota really picking up the rainfall as well.
And you said Brainerd is now above average for rainfall.
1/100th of an inch above average.
That'll change
for
today.
Rainfall, if you can believe that. But again, drought conditions still rather prevalent in that north central part of our state right now.
For sure. This is a time-lapse loop from earlier this morning, and I think this encapsulates what the day is. We started off with some cloudiness, but you can see over the last couple of hours, we've cleared out to sunshine, and it looks like a pretty decent day outside. We should see more sunshine and temperatures rising into the low to mid 80s. Pretty comfortable. That's very seasonal for this time of year. Average high for today is also 84 degrees. And what Jamie mentioned too, it just feels so much more comfortable outside with the lower dew points. Tomorrow's kind of a rinse and repeat day, partly cloudy, temps in the mid 80s. And then, Jamie, things start to change as we get into the weekend.
Yeah, this time of year, you got to watch those overnight lows. Those overnight lows are pretty indicative of where your dew points are, or at least close to it. So when you see them coming out of the mid 60s into the upper 60s and eventually those low 70s, you know you're heading into the hot, humid weather once again. This time, though, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Instead of that ridge kind of being right over us last year, a little to our east, this time it's a bit to the west. So we don't get the southwest feed, we get the northwest feed, or a little more of a westerly feed at times. That keeps a lot of the action away from us. We end up with that hot, humid, sunny stretch of weather. I'm sure there are some folks looking at this saying, perfect, that's what I want. For me, it's a little high on the dew point side. Bring the dew points down, I'd be okay.
Yeah, and I'm okay with at least some rain chances to prevent us from going into drought. We all know, with temperatures this warm for an extended stretch of time, it doesn't take long for the soil to dry out. And I think a lot of lawns and gardens are going to be quite thirsty by the end of this next hot period. It looks like could be 5-6 days in a row, 90 degrees or better, beginning maybe as early as Saturday, but more likely Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week as that big ridge of high pressure moves overhead. Hot, steamy weather. And Jamie, I don't see anything changing even by the end of next week. There's no real signs of a cooler pattern. We're kind of in it to stay.
No, the only significant, I don't even want to use the word significant, but the only substantial change I have seen is just the drop in the dew points a little bit, making it more comfortable. But it didn't look like the temperatures were going to be trailing off. That ridge is going to be just too much of a dominant feature to our west.
Yeah.
It looked like we'd get a drop in the dew points and we'd start to see a little more of a northwest flow, but it didn't really alleviate the heat from us. It would be nice to have that stronger northwest flow. At least we could get some clippers through here, which wouldn't be big rainmakers, but they'd be rainmakers nonetheless.
They'd be kind of like hit and miss stuff.
Yeah. The meteorologist side of me looks at it and says, yeah, that's too hot for too long, too dry. You know, the crops enjoy the humidity, but the yards don't enjoy the sunburn day in and day out.
And what's interesting too is like the humidity will be pretty high, but I don't think it looks as humid as what we started off the month with, or at least left June with. And what's interesting too is because we'll have slightly less moisture in the air, there's a better chance of seeing those warmer temperatures. See, the last time we hit those 90s, the dew point was so high, there was so much water in the air that it literally kept temperatures from getting too hot.
Yeah.
You know, it's when you have more water in the air, that is, water, it takes a lot of energy to change the temperature of water. So if it's dry air that's in place, you see those larger temperature fluctuations. But if there's a lot of moisture, if there's a lot of water in the air, the temperature doesn't get as high that quickly. So I think the warmest we've been so far this year was like 92 degrees.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I know we had dew points that were 77, 78.
Yeah,
It was
remember that one
Monday.
day? We had, what was it, 108 degree heat index, something like that. This case around, it's still pretty steamy, but the heat index probably playing tag with 100 degrees instead of 105, 110 degrees. So we'll probably see some heat headlines as we head into next week, but enjoy the next couple of days. Here's that dew point trend, and it looks pretty comfortable, at least seasonably speaking, today and tomorrow. Once we get into Saturday and especially Sunday, it is going to start to feel more uncomfortable outside, and that dew point's going to stay pretty sticky through most of next week.
Yeah, the air you can wear. You walk outside and you'll just won't take long, and you'll start sweating. You'll start to feel it. I think Sunday, Monday. It looked like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday might be the worst of it right now. When we looked at like the heat, what was it? Heat risk kind of map. It flared up a lot of red on the map there. So the first part of next week I think is going to be a little tough.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I know some forecast models were forecasting air temperature close to triple digits. You know, that would be pretty remarkable if we saw that. It's been a while since we've hit 100. I think it's been, what has it been, 4 years since we've hit 100 degrees in
I was going to say, I don't think we've hit
MSB.
100 since I've been here.
It's been a while. I know that. Dry heat Jamie over here. At least we've had that too. And if the dew point stays lower, there might be a better chance of that happening. But as long as we have those sticky dew points, it's less likely that we're going to hit 100. But regardless, a hot weather forecast is coming up next week. Today, you can see some clouds over southern Minnesota. That's forecast to clear. We'll be watching a weak front over North and South Dakota that will provide them with some isolated storm chances. That weak front is basically going to provide isolated showers and storms later today for North and South Dakota, and the remnants of that front is going to trickle into Minnesota by tomorrow. So doesn't look like a great chance for rain tomorrow, but it's probably going to be our best chance, honestly, over the next 7 to even 10 days.
Yeah.
This is the latest run with the forecast models, and you can see some isolated stuff over central and west central Minnesota. That really is about it. Once we get into the weekend, as that ridge takes control, we're going to see that rain chance basically cut off.
Yeah, looking like we could have that another front try to come through next Wednesday, but it just didn't. Right now, it doesn't look that impressive. Granted, that's 6-7 days out, and things can change. But that might be our last kind of saving grace for the month right there.
Sure.
To get
we're above average for rainfall now, at least some parts of the state by 1/100th of an inch.
So, hanging in there.
At least for a day. Here's a look at your weekend forecast. A lot of folks heading outdoors. This is the weekend after the 4th. Some would consider the 4th of July weekend, once that's over, some consider that summer is over. Are you in that camp? Are you in the camp of, no, summer is not over, it's still plenty of it left.
I feel like I'm the person that talks everyone else off the ledge because everyone's, they're like, oh, the 4th is, yes, I hear that, summer's over, summer's nearly over. I'm like, we still have a lot of July and we have August to get through.
Yeah.
September is not a terrible month.
No.
Granted, kids are going back to school. I get that. That's when you really feel like summer is over. But
do you still feel you get towards the end of August, and does the former student in you kind of have a little anxiety still, or is that like way past?
Oh, that's way past.
That's way past?
That's way past. I look forward to September because, again, I think September just has incredible weather. I think it's an underrated month. Largely because, kids are going back to school and things like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a downer.
But September is absolutely wonderful. October can be great, but October kind of throws you a curveball every once in a while.
What we should do, we should rank all of the months from like worst to best.
I know you and I would probably agree or come to very, very close terms of agreement there with March and April.
The worst months. Worst months of the year, March and April.
Yeah.
So there is
it's just
that.
a matter of which one's 11 and which one's 12 on our list.
for various reasons, but we are far from that. We couldn't be further away from that type of weather. So a nice weekend, a nice summer-like weekend. You can see temperatures back in the upper 80s to lower 90s, and that'll probably include areas near Lake Superior, at least near the head of the lake. So if you're going to Duluth, Superior, I do not expect cooler by the lake conditions, as that wind will be more southwesterly, so warmer conditions in Canal Park. This is that big pattern shift that we're talking about. So we have another heat dome that develops. It's partially thanks to a big low pressure system that's first over the Gulf of Alaska. That slips to our north, and you can see that ridge is pretty much on top of us early next week. Last week it was further east, and we were in that southwesterly flow. Once we get into next week, the storm track gets pushed way up north. So that means minimal rain chances, and it's just that hot, humid weather that really ramps up over the weekend. But the worst of it looks like it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, if that ridge was a little further to the west and we got a little more of that northwest wind, it would be nice to talk about, again, as we mentioned before, those clipper systems, or at least the energy that runs along those winds. If that was a little closer to the neighborhood, that would keep us optimistic about rainfall in the month of July. But when that ridge is there and you just basically shift the traffic north, you're looking hot, humid, and dry.
Yeah. No, we're not going to see a whole lot of change either. Nothing significant.
No.
These are high temperatures over the next 5 days. Enjoy today and tomorrow, because that's about as comfortable as it gets. We see temps warm over the weekend, and then look at that, 94 degrees on Monday. I'm sure our record highs are like in the triple digits, so we're not looking at that. But regardless, that summer pattern really ramps up. Next week, we're talking a string of 90-degree plus heat. Heat index values probably near triple digits Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's a sunny and dry pattern as well. And what's interesting, too, is statistically, these are the hottest days of summer. Starting yesterday at MSP, our average high temperature peaked 84 degrees. That's as high as it gets all year long. So from July 8th, I believe at least through July 23rd, the average high temperature, it's as warm as it is all year round. We're 2 weeks beyond the summer solstice. These are the warmest days of summer, at least on record, we'll say.
And we had the conversation a little earlier. 6 months from now, we'll be talking about the coldest climatological averages of the year, if you can believe that.
That's a bit of a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, it's on the complete opposite side of the calendar right now.
Speaking of that, too, I just saw tonight is our last 9 p.m. sunset.
Right.
Our last 9 p.m. sunset until next year. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's still, tomorrow night it'll be 8:59. So it's still pretty late. But I think we had, a 10-day stretch where we had sunsets after 9 o'clock. Was it 10 or maybe?
9:02, 9:03 p.m.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So we're all full of positivity today. So
now we're going to start going to bed earlier with that sun going down.
So it's a pretty quiet forecast compared to where we've been. I did look too, Jamie, there was only one day this month that did not record rainfall.
Really? So far?
Yeah. There was one day with a trace, but there's only been one day with zeros on the board for rainfall. We could be looking at 7 days in a row without any rain. It's amazing how a pattern shift can make it look brighter.
Another flip of the switch when we're going to look back on this month as well.
How about that?
But you would expect quite a bit of rain for June, July, May, June, and
for sure,
July.
especially those heavy downpours.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for our weather talk. We'll have more news and more weather coming up right around the corner.